Morning, Gordy. Morning. I can relate to that look.
He's one of the technicians. Hey, Siri, did Todd already ever call you?
No.
Okay, I saw his son today, so I got his number, and I'll text him about that.
Not that I know of. You get those phone calls like from Keota, Iowa, something about Medicare insurance and stuff.
Yeah, so, and he said he probably didn't get it because Ryan didn't know it. So I will text him about it.
Julie has joined.
What's your name?
Gordon Anderson.
Gordon? I think I talked to you on the phone. Colin Klingbeil.
Oh, okay.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Hi, Julie. All right. I think it's 9 o'clock. We'll say the Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Consider for approval minutes and agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve minutes and agenda.
I'll second it.
Motion by Jensvold, seconded by Kirby to approve the minutes and agenda. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passed. 9 a.m. Julie Swenson, the treasurer. Annual report.
Yes, these are just copies for you guys. And then this one here, if approved, we need stamped and date signed. So this is a new way in the
Yeah, how was
financial.
it putting it together?
Well, that's why I'm here today. In Eden, I would have had it done in July, but we had no service on how to get to where I am today. So
And how do you feel about it then, Julie?
I am glad that I feel comfortable with my totals, that they balance with my banks. But it took us a while to get there because whenever there's any corrections in other offices, it messes with the ending balances. So you gotta start back and fix as you go. Financial, as Carla and I know, isn't as simplified as Eden was. And the problem is, you just don't have the direction, so we're learning as we go.
I think too, it's really hard, not to interrupt, but things that we used to do, there were a lot of things that happened in the background that don't happen anymore. Well, none of us know that. And so it's been hard to figure out, I would do something one way, and then I didn't know I had to do another step here. Well, that affects her until we figure out that I need to do something else. And that's been hard, very frustrating.
So hopefully, we can get a handle on this and actually we kind of went through this on our own. We didn't have much help from Tyler. And just to get some answers from Tyler is very difficult. So you keep muddling through it and trying to figure out, and when you kind
Because
of,
it's so centralized and they just kind of give you whoever's on call to answer your questions?
and a lot of times, you'll get somebody that'll tell you one way, and then it's maybe not the correct way because it affects another office. And we're the last office that has to make sure everything is balanced.
From the
And-
people who promised that they would have everything taken care of.
Yep. So I don't know if you have questions or, you know, going through the report. I also attached extra pages if you needed to see how I was coming up with that ending balance. And so, like this third page shows us your cash count that I do in my office at the end of June and at the end of December. So it shows you, like the dollar amount there that would match the general ledger totals. And I also attached the general ledger so you can see on the back of the very last page. Up here, I tried to highlight the numbers here that you're gonna match with the other report. You see that? Yep, on the inside. So I tried to highlight those numbers that you're gonna see and how we get the change in outstanding amount. Yes, and that's not as easy to figure out either because you gotta take the ending outstanding balance, subtract the beginning outstanding balance, add in your stamped warrants and subtract your current outstanding. So, yeah, it's a difficult report.
It's amazing you have any hair left.
Well, yeah, it's, the staff down there has worked really hard to try to get to this, figuring this out, and then you've got like our pooled cash report, you have to balance all your numbers with that as well. And we never worried about outstanding before. We never worried about that because we never balanced with outstanding. And that can change every day. So it's a whole new way of learning to balance the county
Do you
funds.
think it's value added to have to deal with the outstanding?
We don't have a choice. Yeah, because everything that happens, I don't know if you guys understand, everything that happens in any office affects us in the treasurer's office because it's now connected to our bank reconciliation. So if they have to do a correction, if they void something, if they redo something, it all hits the bank reconciliation part. So our outstanding, we have to account for. So yeah, we're kind of stuck with having to keep track of outstanding when we never had before.
What's the monument trust fund for? Is that for this one out here?
Yes.
Mhm.
Just an ongoing, when they update it or something?
Yep. That used to be a separate fund that Thomas had down at MBT, and when they left, I requested that they put that into the county so that it was all just,
Accounted for.
Goes through the auditing process,
yes.
accountable. Okay. All right. I'll make a motion to approve the treasurer's annual report.
Annual, mhm.
Even though it says semi-annual, it's just.
Yep,
updated
it's just the
version.
way, it just is because it's 6 months.
I'll second it.
A motion by Derby, seconded by Jensvold to
Did you sign?
approve the annual report. We're gonna have him
Terry's got a stamp.
stamp it first. All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
I know it's been quite a challenge.
It has been, yeah, just to get everything converted over, because our conversion date was October 7th. So they cut us off on September 28th. We couldn't do anything until October 7th. When we entered all the taxes and all of our stuff for September, they pushed it all back into September, so none of our totals even matched with what we ended up with. So we had a difficult time getting January to balance, and then now. So hopefully in December
So 5 months later, basically, right?
well, it's been a year now. October 7th is when we went live with financial.
Makes you wonder if they knew that what they were selling us and just sold it anyway.
They knew, because remember our conversations that we had about financial.
Well, they said
I
they
wasn't
were
in
gonna
favor
solve
of
their
this.
problems, but, they
Yeah, they
obviously
never
did
did.
not. It just makes you wonder whether they. Is there gonna be a problem with the signature page here? It's got all of us listed as chairman.
Oh, it does? Okay. Yeah, I'll have to change that. I'll bring it back down and have you sign it.
All right.
Thank you for noticing that. You guys don't want to be chairman.
Don't try and steal any authority from her. Holy cow.
Okay.
All right. Anything else for Julie?
I have a cash check that we have to cancel.
Oh, yes, that's number 3, consider for approval canceling of an old check.
This one here was found in the old system in Eden, that we need to get it canceled out so we can have a clean record going forward into financial. It was one that was never cashed, and it was missed when we canceled out the rest of them, so. And you'll see that listed on your semi-annual.
Do we need a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve canceling the old check.
I'll second it.
Motion by Jensvold, seconded by Derby for cancellation of old check. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. And then can I just bring this down later for you guys to sign? All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Julie. Drainage.
Probably should go to number
Oh,
5.
is it time? Oh, yes, it is. 9:05, public hearing for DD 92.
I'll make a motion to.
Where you going?
I'll make a motion, we go into public hearing open the public hearing for DD 92.
I'll second it.
Motion by Jensvold and seconded by,
No.
oops, Derby and seconded by Jensvold to open the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Colin is here to discuss the engineer's report.
Yeah, and we'll keep it pretty informal, I think. Yeah, basically, this is the project to remove that 48-inch culvert on county property that both upstream and downstream of it, it's open ditch, and this is like 450 feet of 48-inch culvert that's 13 feet in the ground. And there's several things that kind of show that pipe is backing up water to some degree, whether there's any blockages or obstructions in there, I don't know, but even if it was wide open, it still doesn't equal the capacity of the ditch. And for like a design, what we would look at if we were designing an open ditch for that amount of acres, basically in order for that flow of water to push through that pipe, it'd have to back up 3 feet backed up right behind it to push that amount of water through. And just on the downstream side, it's kind of this eroded bowl, and to me that's further just visual evidence that that is happening. It's pushing water through there at high velocity, and then it's causing some erosion on the downstream side of it. So yeah, and the reason this has to go through this hearing process is it technically is an improvement. I mean, if you're going to go from a pipe to an open ditch, you've increased the capacity of that section of ditch, and so by the drainage code, it kind of has to go through this procedure of having a report and doing it this way. So just kind of some of the basics. We're looking at, removing that pipe, replacing it with a 6-foot bottom open ditch, and then there's a few things that we have to do. So the spoils are gonna get kind of spread on some lands, and if you want to see those on these maps in the back, it shows kind of the areas that we're looking at to spread spoils. And part of that, I talked with Robert, basically the idea is there's going to be quite a lot of spoils from this. And rather than piling them up right next to the ditch and making these big berm spoil piles that may block with the hog's back features in the area, just kind of try to spread that out a little bit so it doesn't make as much of an eyesore and mess with that. Then we'll be cutting through what is now a parking lot for the Larson Tweed Wildlife Area, and so we'll need to relocate that. And then also, so there'll be an access lane and a small lot for that, and then another access lane kind of upstream of the ditch, so they continue to have access to that portion of the wildlife area. And that shows it on those maps as well. We've got a cost estimate between engineering and everything else of $119,000. And I guess that the construction estimate is low enough that we can do competitive quotes. And if this moves forward, that's kind of what I'd recommend we do rather than a full bid process. And really the difference between that is you can just ask contractors that you know of, that you want. Like, they only can provide a quote if you invite them to. It's not just open to anybody. And then there's cost savings because you don't have to do a public bid letting, and it can help prices a little bit because of the bonding requirements with the public bid opening. So that kind of would be my recommendation if we proceed with this, is to do solicit competitive quotes. As far as paying for this work, there is a existing assessment schedule for the main open ditch of DD 92, and we'd recommend that this project cost be assessed against that schedule. So the whole open ditch, the whole district essentially, because everybody uses the open ditch, would help pay for this, and that's a little over 3,100 acres, and so we're looking at an average of $37.75 an acre. And then, of course, you can choose to allow that to be paid over a between 10 and 20 year period. And so just kind of for reference, at 5% interest, if it's paid, oh, you're doing 6, okay. Well, then my numbers are off.
I have a schedule, and there's a few people
$5.
that have over a couple $1,000s, but a lot of them are low. So
are they gonna all be assessed, like the driveways and the improvement to the parking area and?
it's all part of the project.
Yeah, and so the reason for that is part of this, we'll have to acquire right-of-way for the open ditch before we actually construct it. And typically, in the code, if you do a right-of-way acquisition, it involves this whole procedure of appointing assessors, damage appraisers, and doing a report and another hearing. But that's kind of if you're forcing the issue. If you can talk with the landowner and come to a voluntary agreement, you don't have to go through those procedures. And in my mind, rather than this is county ground, and if we could go through a procedure and then just compensation, but my thought is that the compensation might be somewhere around what we're talking for doing those items anyways, like the lane and the parking lot. Because those would be damages as part of the project. And so my thought is if we do those through the project, it's gonna be paid for one way or another by the landowners, whether it's through right-of-way acquisition or just doing them as part of the construction, and then getting the right-of-way for zero is what I'm gonna propose, because we're doing these things as part of the construction project. So yeah.
So if you do it as part of the construction, so let's say the conservation board doesn't want any compensation. The property was acquired with some state funding, so we just soon not have to deal with that as far as being compensated. And you're talking like what fraction of what's the acres wise?
It's around an acre. Yep.
Do you have to, does the property have to be officially, does it have to be surveyed, or does it have to be officially, I mean, it's Winnebago County property.
Right. No, we wouldn't have to officially do like a whole meets and bounds survey for that. We can just say that it's, and what we'd recommend is 100 feet wide, so 50 feet on either side of the center line of the ditch. And that's how we would describe it in the acquisition. Yeah.
Does it have to be acquired? I mean, the county owns it. What about, could you do an easement?
The district and the county are technically separate entities.
Yeah,
okay,
they're separate
yeah, I look at it that
entities.
way, yeah.
And don't we already have a right of way because of the tile?
There is an easement there for access, like you can go on the property, but it's different than a permanent right of way.
Gotcha.
But you are correct, there is a permanent easement for access, for maintenance, repairs,
So-
any of that other stuff to
Right,
that
so we
culvert.
already have some of that anyway because of the permanent, right?
Well, there's no actual, like typically when districts were established and there's a pipe put in, they didn't acquire anything.
Oh, I
It just is there as a function of establishing the drainage district. Once you establish, you have it. And so there's no official documentation other than just you establish the district, now you have that right, that permanent easement from then on.
Gotcha.
So it's not a recorded anything.
It's nothing you could draw, it's not like
No,
a location specific.
correct.
Gotcha.
No specific width or anything of that nature. Yeah.
Okay.
So, but yeah, my intent would be to draw up basically an agreement that just is an acquisition of right of way for $0 and just simply describe what it is, and how many acres it is. And then that would be subject to the county's approval. And then once that's in place, then the drainage district has the right to go and do the work and do maintenance in the future on the ditch.
Define county.
So,
County approval would be this county or that county?
Whoever's acting, I guess, whoever would be the decision maker for that property.
That would be the county board, or the county
Conservation. Okay,
right?
But if it's the district's right away, doesn't the
Then we
dis-
would be acting
well, the
as
district.
trustee.
as trustees, yeah.
That's what, I'm trying to define the two parts of it there.
right.
He would be a landowner.
Right.
Yep.
We would be the trustees.
Yep.
I have no problem either way with that.
And that's good to know too, like if I'm drawing up an agreement, it needs to have the right.
Is
But I
that-
mean, Winnebago County owns the property.
They do.
Conservation Board doesn't own it, it's the county.
The conservation board manages the property, is that an accurate way of putting it?
Now, are there different parcels that are looked at differently though?
Sometimes, yeah, it depends on the funding sources. We ran into that with the transmission line that came across. There were easements on county property. And so far, when I've inquired about this, I haven't gotten any pushback on it. I just assumed if we just kind of, if we could do like maybe an easement versus an acquisition, even if it is just kind of a technical.
Is that possible?
A permanent, perpetual easement?
I'd have to look into that, I think, because almost always, and I don't know the reasons why necessarily, but almost always when you have an open ditch that's a drainage district facility, you almost always have a permanent right-of-way that's acquired as part of that. And with tile, it's a permanent easement. That's not necessarily, it's part of the establishment of the
So
drainage district.
how does this compare to when we have a ditch alongside a road where it's in the road right away?
This is probably a tricky question because road right-of-ways are typically established by permanent easement. But they're not referred to as right-of-way and also as permanent easement at the same time.
How does that work?
Well, I mean, it's all,
How can you have two things on one?
well, they're the same thing, really. It's all about interest in the property, rights to the property. The county doesn't own title to the right-of-ways, but they basically own every permission to the property. So technically, landowner owns to the middle of the road, but they don't have any authority to do anything with the road other than, participate in the use of it like any other person.
But we remove the tax burden on the center of
Right.
the road.
Right, so I mean, it behaves as though they don't own it, but they technically do.
That'd be an argument for doing it as a right-of-way, because in the code, I mean, part of that is, okay, we have this open ditch, it's for the drainage district, and you can farm and use the right-of-way for, whatever you want, as long as it doesn't affect the ditch, and you can't go in the ditch and be doing stuff. And I think that right-of-way enforces that more than just an easement to access it would, if that makes sense. Not that in this case there's going to be any issue with that, but the rest of the ditch up and downstream of this location has a permanent right-of-way, and this wouldn't. I guess we can talk about that more, Robert. What's the concern with doing it as a right-of-way? Is it just
Raising red flags within that funding.
Well, maybe the part too to think about is, districts don't have separate parcels that lay over top of the ditches either. They're never, the title's never transferred.
Right.
You know, so like when you look on a parcel map, the district sure owns permanent easements, but it doesn't show up as the landowner on a parcel. It still goes to the original landowner's name, and the easement is, you have to dig in files in the recorder's office to learn about it.
A lot of times the right-of-way is to protect the district when there's a sale of the property, right? And there's probably gonna be never any sale of this property that I know of. Since there was state funds involved, the land will never be sold. It'll stay in the county's name.
So, to me, from an administrative standpoint, it would look a lot like a permanent easement, even if you're calling it right away.
I don't know that it would ever get brought up. I mean, we wouldn't bring it up any reason to.
As long as we can keep it simple and those red flags popping up. What do you think, Susan?
Do you have any questions after looking at the report?
The only thing is, on the spoilage, can a lot of that be distributed on the property then?
Yeah, they've got it.
Yep. It
That's in the
doesn't
plan.
need to be exactly all out of there. Just-
No, they've got places to put the spoilage.
Yeah.
And then if somebody wants it, like, apparently they're willing to demolish
Sure.
it. Remove it.
Yeah, there's a couple areas right next to there that are areas that will let them put the spoils. And that way they wouldn't necessarily have to load it up in a truck and go down the road and
Just
try to dump
these
it.
purple areas on the
Yes,
map.
correct.
Do you wanna see these, Gordy?
No, I got it.
Oh, you have it, okay. Well, I think it's the best case scenario. I was just concerned if there was any additional things that were gonna get charged to the landowners, like those accesses and stuff that maybe they weren't gonna be crazy about paying for. But if that's not a big ticket item.
Yeah, and maybe it comes back to that whole discussion about the right of way. Because again, in my mind, we were either gonna have to pay for the right of way or just do the thing, like if you make that property whole and fix everything and move it all to where it's all taken care of, then there's no issue. So it's,
And I think you've included all those costs anyway in that.
yeah, those costs
So-
are in the estimate.
It's already in
Right.
what people are gonna pay.
Right.
Yeah, there's construction costs, engineering, legal, publications, mailings. And then I got right-of-way acquisition at $0 and then some interest.
Did you have any questions about that, Gordy, at all? How that was allocated out?
Welcome the interest on it. That's what I'm just,
We always include it just in case somebody doesn't end up
Okay.
paying
okay,
whatever. So
okay.
it's just always in there, which makes the project less. if we don't
But
need it.
that number is incorrect. The interest.
Because it
number.
should be 6% instead of 5.
And then the other part of it is our only choice 10 years or nothing?
No, you have to pick between 10 and 20.
Okay.
You can pay it off in 2,
Yeah.
but you have to pick between 10 and 20. So that's just the way the code reads.
Okay.
So,
The landowners can pay it off in two. Is that what you're saying?
yeah, you,
Pay it.
when you come in, if your parcel is over $500, you can come in and say, I want to make payments on this. And you have to say, I want 12 years or 10, anywhere up to 20. But you can go to the treasurer and pay it off sooner with no penalties.
There's no penalty.
Yep, yep.
All right. Well, I think it looks good.
I think my recommendation, based on the contractors, is to use whoever is on our approved contractors list and has a current insurance. and that's then fair.
Cause you said there was a couple on your list that don't have current.
That don't have
insurance.
current, correct.
Have you contacted them and asked for their current one?
It's an annual thing, they should,
They should know how to do it.
right, and
But
some
have
of
they
them have
had-
been with us a long time, some of them just aren't doing a lot of drainage work right now because they're doing other things, which is fine.
Okay.
And I can call them to get it
Yeah,
updated,
as long as they're aware that that's why they're not being asked.
right, and if
for
they
it.
wanna get me one, they sure can.
Yeah.
But,
I think that'd be good.
yeah, I mean, there's only, I think, a couple that don't,
Yeah.
they're usually pretty good at it.
Can you email us the list of ones that are current?
Yeah.
So we can have
Yep.
that, so we
Yeah.
You bet.
I'd like that too.
Oh, definitely, that was just my recommendation, so you guys
But I'd
decide what you
like
like.
to know what that list is.
You bet.
I think that's fine. I agree with that. So as long as we're also making sure that people know that there's, you know.
Right, or maybe we send it to all of them that are on our approved list and say, with your proposal, you have to have the current insurance.
Yes.
And that way, everybody just gets it.
There you go.
It's whatever you guys wanna do.
Well, and in the, we'll send out plans and specifications, and there'll be because this would be still a contract job, like there'll be contract documents, there will be performance bond, because it's a public project. And there are insurance requirements as part of that stuff that they'll know about before they give a price.
Right.
So it should be covered in that,
True.
that they know that they have to,
I just like to have one,
Good,
so I.
yeah. for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else?
Probably the extent of the public hearing then, right?
Yes, I think so.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll second it.
Motion by Derby, seconded by Jensvold to end the public hearing for DD 92. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Consider for approval DD 92, number 6.
So that we're approving the engineering report or approving the project moving forward?
Approve the engineer's report and direct the engineer to solicit competitive quotes. Is maybe a way that I would suggest.
Your motion.
That is my motion.
I'll second it.
Motion by Smith, seconded by Derby to approve the engineer's report DD 92 and direct him to get bids, right? Do you call it bids? Or no?
Competitive quotes.
Do we need in that motion to state when we approve this report that we change it from 5 to 6?
Or will you just do that?
Have you set, that can be a separate thing, the report, that was more for landowner purposes of looking forward at what they could be paying. So I don't think it necessarily needs to be changed for the report, but for the district, do you?
It's always been 6.
Okay,
Yeah.
So you'll just do.
Since I've been here, it's been 6.
okay.
Okay, so do we have a motion to approve? Did we do
We just
that?
need a vote.
Did I do that?
We just haven't voted,
Oh, we haven't voted.
discussing.
All right. Done discussing? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passed. Thank you.
Right.
Good explanations.
Thanks.
We need that.
I'll work towards getting this stuff ready kind of as quick as I can, and if things move along quickly and we don't get more nights like last night with the cold, maybe it can get started this fall. But we'll keep working on it.
All right.
All right, thank
Do we
you.
need to set a date for accepting the quote?
That'll be, I'll put that kind of in the plans, and then,
And then we can put it on the agenda?
yeah, typically what we do is, if we're doing public bidding, like I would get plans and specifications ready, and then file those, and then it's go and do the bidding. So I think we'll do that. I'll get the plans and specs ready, which most of the plans and stuff are done. It's just a matter of getting the rest of the contract documents put together.
Okay.
But yeah, I think that would be
So you can let me know when to put it back on the agenda to approve anything. Okay, sounds good.
All right.
All right,
That was
thanks.
Alan.
Thank you.
Any other drainage matters?
Oh,
Chris?
sorry, I forgot about me. I do not.
Okay,
I didn't have anything. Chris, you have a new
we don't have any other drainage issues?
I'll get that.
So I'm good?
Yeah,
You're good
Okay,
now.
sounds good, thank you.
see ya.
Thanks, Colin.
Yep, thank you.
Consider for approval sheriff's quarterly report. You guys looked at it?
Sheriff's Court.
I'll second it.
By Johnson, seconded by Derby to approve sheriff's quarterly report. All in favor? Aye.
Sorry, you missed it.
Motion passed. We did it.
Did you have anything to add to your quarterly report?
No, sir.
We need to put it on 9, I suppose.
Oh, wait.
Or should we do?
Fine, when we better get it done.
Let's go.
9:30?
Did he send one of you guys the ordinance? I thought he would be here.
I guess without ordinance, we can't really have a public hearing, can we?
Let me text him.
Don't tell me
Unless
that.
he
We can
sent it.
probably
Late yesterday or something.
do Scott in the meantime until we get done.
Okay, Scott?
Good morning.
Good morning.
I don't have too much today. Our G14 bridge project continues. They got the pipe kind of drug down into the hole yesterday, and they're working on getting that situated here and hopefully start backfilling today. That'll take a while because it has to be pretty specific, small lifts with good compaction, and so I'd
Did they
say
just drag it down in there or use a crane?
we used 2 excavators. It wasn't drug necessarily, but they lifted it and kind of pulled it along, and it was heavy, so it was kind of small adjustments and move it in small amounts. But it went well. Spent a couple hours in the afternoon to get it from the top of the hole to the bottom, and today they're getting it kind of centered and in the correct location, and then they'll start backfilling.
I've got some good pictures of that too. I'm sure you do too, but
A couple, but I'd like to have some more. I mean, it's a good, when you do a project like that, it's good to have some pictures just to kind of refer to next time you do it, or if another county's interested in trying it, then you can kind of talk through it. But other than that, I don't really have too much.
okay. That's all we need then. Thanks, Scott. Okay, so nothing on the number 9? Table it, or we're still waiting to see?
He says I can drop it off later when I come through, and I said it's on the agenda for a public hearing at 9:30, so I guess I can reschedule it for next week.
So we think we're tabling number 9. And number 10. And number 11.
Well, and then I don't know what he's got for dates on it, but it'll have to be redone. And if he's dropping it off, I don't know.
And he was in charge of publicizing it, right?
Yes. And we had a complete conversation about this, so
Then we're tabling that.
Yeah. Good choice.
And
There's some claims for me.
Open forum. Do we have anybody on the line for open forum today?
There's 2 spots for you to sign on there.
It's a Tuesday, it feels like a Monday.
Is it time now, or should I come back later? And you wanna stand this one too? Okay, so throw away your top sheet. Here's corrected sheets, thanks, Bill.
There's some power struggle in here already.
Those I think are yours.
Oh, so nice, he leaves it.
There you go. And I think you can sign here too, and then on the very back page, they stamped it. There you go. All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. Oh, you want to sign and then I can leave you a copy? Or leave you that document or whatever you want. And then we want this too. This please.
Do you wanna talk about 13 real quick?
Yeah, we can.
Sure can.
Did you guys look at that LATCF funding link?
I did not. I didn't have time.
I
Tell me.
think it's a spin-off of the ARPA funds. It's just another line item in it. And according to the state of Iowa, there'll be 50,000 minimum per county each year for fiscal year 2022 and fiscal year 2023. The only county in the state that gets more is Appanoose for some reason, if it's their reservoir down there. It has something to do with if you have public lands. We do have some public lands through Fish and Wildlife, but there was a minimum statement there. You get out in Utah, they get a lot more money per county out there. So it's referencing the pilot, the payment in lieu of taxes, and the other one was the tribal part of it, I think. So anyway, the gist of it is, if we certify for funding, we would get 50,000 for fiscal year 2022 and 50,000 for fiscal year 2023.
Wow.
And there, if you look at it, there's an attached or a link for the reporting. So there'll be annual reporting on it up through 2028. So
And what can you use it for?
pretty much like ARPA, any government fund or any government function. It can be for economic development. It can be, many things. It didn't specify one. You just can't use it for lobbying.
Or supervisor salaries.
Well, I'll let you go go on and on about that if you want. I'll just do my
Okay.
due diligence, trying to educate you. So the reporting periods, I think there's a deadline, well, I think at the end of January or the end of March that we have to have certified to start with, and then your reporting periods are January of 2022 through December of 2022, if you're already signed up, I suppose. Submission deadline is March 20th.
So this is the first that we've,
It came through NACO to us,
okay,
so I think it's a good program. Doesn't seem to be a lot of things tied to it that restrict us from doing other things. You know, that's one thing we've been worried about all along is this going to affect anything else? It doesn't seem to be.
okay.
So I don't know if you want to look at it yourself a little bit more before you, I think it's just discussion today, so
Sure.
there's no
So
action.
can we put it on agenda for next week and after we've
With
looked at it?
possible action,
With possible, yeah.
and talk, and identify it as the LATCF funding.
Is that what it was, is that how it came as an email?
Yeah, it was,
Like,
she had forwarded it to us
Yeah.
from NACO,
okay,
Local Assistance and Tribal Consistency Fund.
okay.
It looks like everything's laid out here to where it's just fill in the blank and go, you know.
Okay.
You can think about what things you'd wanna do with that.
That'll be easy. That's the easy part, to think about the stuff, then allocating.
Now, we've already been talking about other things.
We have, yep. All right. Let's see, have we hit all of ours except for
We got
the
the last,
10 o'clock?
the 16 and 17. 16 anyway, we can do.
Yeah. Semi-monthly county claims?
We can make a motion to approve the semi-monthly county claims.
Second it.
Motion by Derby, seconded by Jessamine to approve the semi-monthly county claims. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion passed.
So we're on break until 10.
All right.
I gotta stretch.
Terry's are always so neat. He shows us up, doesn't he? Me anyway.
I have to decipher my handwriting. Got all the farming done? Still got a couple acres left.
Yeah. Most of it's gonna have to go to town now too, so that's gonna slow the process down.
Yeah, don't you hate it when the yields are too big for your bins?
Yeah,
Such a terrible problem.
that's a problem. Yeah,
Must have been yielding for you.
over 200. I mean, I ain't gonna say, I see some 30 bushel the acre spots where it burnt up in the hilltop, but
Yeah,
The rest of the field averages out.
there's times where the monitor and the combine was over 300.
Yeah, I haven't seen that. You guys had more rain.
Lou Lawrence.
Has left. Yeah. Waste management guy.
Yeah, but he's not with them anymore.
No, I know.
He
Used to
does
be.
know. Steve, do you know Lou? Lou Lawrence or Lordson? He used to work at Waste Management managing. He was from like now.
Not
I don't know what he does now.
putting it together, yes.
Do you remember Lou Lordson?
Mm-hmm.
What's he do now?
I don't know, he's probably not.
No,
He left.
I don't know what he does for,
He's a nice guy.
he's the one that did that K-bit for a while.
oh, really?
He had it Bruce Helgeson's building for a while.
Oh.
Just don't see him anymore. It's just weird what he does.
I don't know, I've talked to him lots of times, nice guy.
Hasn't been any digging up at the, fix our problems up at the facility up there, has there?
Digging.
Remember, we were gonna put that buried tile in, and drain water and fix some, like the jail corner. Supposedly they forgot about it, and they weren't sure they're gonna get it there this year. And I'm like, it's kinda doing a number on the building, we need to get it fixed.
Who is,
Yeah, they still got
who is
the,
they?
Laharve.
Oh,
How's the ankle?
got a brace on still.
Do you?
We go back Thursday.
But you got your fancy boots on now.
Yeah, but they're tight.
Your kickers.
Did we ever figure out a fix for that corner then? That's separating in the jail?
No.
I think they just cocked it or whatever, and they figure it ain't gonna settle.
And we
anymore.
talked about a big angle iron in there and
Yeah.
bolt it. We could put a 2x4 up on the outside of the wall and brace it.
Right.
That would be good.
Brody, what we're doing.
Did you make any forums this weekend?
Lock it in.
It would have been Buffalo and Great on Sunday. You guys going to the meeting, aren't you?
Good.
I'm gonna try to. It's on my calendar. See how crazy corn picking is going.
Like Mel's place tomorrow night.
Turned out for that.
My niece is
Oh.
leading hitter on that team. Ellie.
Oh. Yeah, that's your niece. Oh, you know what, I never
She
put
looks
that
just
one.
like me, doesn't she?
No.
6'1".
She's really talented volleyball player, really.
Iowa really kicked butt. No doubt in that game.
I haven't been to a game yet this year. It's getting a little late to make it too.
Of course, it was last night.
I've been to football games, but I haven't been to the any college one. Of course, I've been watching volleyball for so many years, chasing all my kids around. And you get out of the loop and you forget that they're even going on.
I think you can start with number one by the time we get down to
You'll be there?
wrapping it off.
On the agenda, possible closed session to discuss matters in litigation or where litigation is imminent with counsel pursuant to Iowa Code Section 21.51C. It is my understanding that legal counsel requests that this matter proceed in closed session. Is she on one?
They are legal counsel for this, so
Okay.
is that correct,
So we
gentlemen?
have to
Yes.
use that.
Okay.
The discussion with legal counsel is to discuss strategy regarding matters that are presently in litigation or litigation is imminent and its disclosure would be likely to prejudice or disadvantage the position of Winnebago County in that litigation. So can I make the motion to move
Yes, that's
into
usually what we do.
discussion with, I move that the discussion with legal counsel be made in closed session as the purpose of this discussion will be to discuss strategy with legal counsel regarding matters that are presently in litigation or where litigation is imminent and its disclosure would be likely to prejudice or disadvantage the position of Winnebago County in that litigation.
I'll second.
Any second?
So on a roll call vote, Derby?
Aye.
Jensvold?
Aye.
Smith?
Aye. So it's been moved to hold a closed session pursuant to Iowa Code Section 21.51C, and the members of the board have voted unanimously to hold the closed session. I ask that all persons other than the supervisors, legal counsel, and county auditor leave the room until we come into open session again.
Okay,
Let me know when the recording is.
I will. So we are going to shut off the phone. I am going to shut off. If I can get it.
Recording? so the light quit blinking, then it started blinking.
So this is a new recording.
It quit and then it started blinking.
Yep. It's actually, it says on my screen that it's, what it says to the public is the streamer will resume when the closed session is finished.
Okay,
It says closed session in process, so they can't see anything
all right.
on YouTube
So
land.
it's kind of streaming that message.
It's streaming that message right now.
All right, cool.
We have the recording going.
Yes, the recording is going.
It is 10:02 a.m. Tuesday, October 18th, 2022. We are in the Winnebago County Board of Supervisors office at the Winnebago County Courthouse in Forest City, Iowa. We are in a closed session pursuant to Iowa Code Section 21.5.